Welcome to WQLN PBS Homeroom. My name is Miss Angela and I teach preschool. One of the reasons I love teaching preschool is because we get to explore our world. Something that we get to explore, especially this time of year, are gardens. What do you think of when you hear the word garden? What is in a garden? Some of you may have said flowers. When I think of gardens, I usually think of flowers too. Flowers are beautiful and they smell great. Yes, there are flowers in a flower garden. And what do flowers need to grow? Sunlight, yes, I hear some of you saying that. Water, soil, and what's that other one that they need? Do you know? It's a tough one. They also need what we breathe out of our bodies. If you put your hand up like this and blow, that air you feel on your hand is something called carbon dioxide. That's the air we breathe out of our bodies. And that's what plants take in. So they need water, sunlight, soil, and carbon dioxide. When you think of gardens, what else could be in one other than flowers? We're going to read a story about that. And it is called A Green, Green Garden by Mercer Mayer. I'm going to scoot a little bit so you can see the pictures better. It is time to plant my garden. We go to the garden store. It has everything we need. I want a green, green garden. I find many seeds to plant. Mom says, we will buy some seeds. Look at all the seeds little critter has in his hand there. That would be quite a lot to plant. Dad says, we will also buy some baby plants. They are very little. They all look the same. By looking at these pages, the ones we've read so far, are you starting to get an idea of other things that can be planted in a garden? Something separate from a flower garden? Dad rents a plow from Mr. Pinky. We go home to plant my green, green garden. Dad plows the garden. We pick up stones and clumps of grass. This is not fun. They need to pick up the stones and clumps of grass so they're able to dig into the soil to put the seeds. We plant the seeds and the baby plants. I am tired. I need cool water. Can be a lot of work putting together a garden. Perhaps you've helped your grown-up plant flowers or plants before. It does take a lot. We are finished. I say, now we can rest. Dad says, we must water each plant. We take turns. Every day we weed, water, and wait. We weed, water, and wait some more. Perhaps you've read little critter books before, and even if you haven't, maybe you've noticed that on every page you can find a mouse and a spider right there. So maybe while I'm reading it, you can be looking for those little critters. We wait a lot. Dad takes pictures. At school, I learn more about gardening. make a compost heap full of old leaves and stuff. It makes good garden dirt. We buy worms to put in my garden. In a compost heap, he said that they put old leaves and stuff. Some of that stuff, maybe if we get a little closer, you can see what else they have in that compost heap. There's also apple peels and corn cores. You can use those with the leaves and the dirt to make a very healthy soil for plants. And the worms also help plants by digging holes down through the dirt. We buy good bugs that eat bad bugs. What are some of those good bugs they bought? Can you tell? There's ladybugs, grasshoppers, a praying mantis. Deer come and eat some of my garden. Blue wants to protect it. And Blue, since there's deer and the only other animal I see is a dog, so Blue must be their dog. Finally, I have a green garden. I have a yellow, orange, and red garden too. Because what all did they plant in their garden? We have pumpkins, tomatoes, corn, squash, lots of yummy things. We have a great dinner, all from my green garden. So another type of garden are vegetable gardens. And those are very important because vegetables are super healthy for our bodies. We need lots and lots of vegetables. Okay, so far we talked about flower gardens. And the person who takes care of a flower garden is a florist. We also talked about a vegetable garden. And the person who takes care of a vegetable garden is either a gardener or perhaps a farmer if those vegetables are on a really large farm. So that could be a gardener or a farmer. But there are other types of gardens too, where you don't necessarily, which means you don't exactly have to, have plants of any kind. You don't need flowers or vegetables. And you don't even really need trees or bushes either, though a lot of people do like to incorporate, meaning they like to add those things into their gardens. They would like trees and bushes just to make the area seem more calm and more in touch with being in nature. But you don't necessarily need to have them. And those two types of gardens are called, there's a Zen Garden, and a Zen Garden originated from Japan. So sometimes they're referred to as Japanese rock gardens because you do use rocks in these gardens. And it's a place to go to stop and think about your day, to find some calmness. And another word for that is tranquility. Tranquility is a big fancy word for calm, to find some calmness. Another type of garden is called a labyrinth. A labyrinth garden is another place to go that can help you find some calmness that doesn't require plants. Instead, it looks like a maze on the ground, and I'm actually going to show you a labyrinth garden that we have here in Erie over at Frontier Park. There's a labyrinth garden. We're going to get to that later. But it looks like a maze, but it's not a maze. Because a maze has twists and turns, and perhaps you've gone with your grown-up to a corn maze before, and as you're walking through, sometimes you turn a corner and you hit a wall, and you have to turn around and go back. With a labyrinth, it's a circular garden that you loop around and around and around until you get to the center. And then once you get to the center, you loop back around and around and around until you come to the end. And it's another way to just find that tranquility. We're also going to work with some Zen gardens later by making one, a small version of one ourselves. So the next thing we're going to do is head over to the Labyrinth Garden. As I said, that is at Frontier Park. So maybe another time your grown-up could take you there and you can walk the Labyrinth Garden. See you there soon. Here we are at Frontier Park, and Connor is going to walk us through the bushes over to the labyrinth. I'm going to try really hard not to shake the camera too much, but because I'm walking with it through the outdoors, it might look a little bouncy. Isn't that just beautiful? Oh, we're almost there. Oh, I gotta bend down to get through the bushes. Ah! I was a little bit too big to crawl through that. Okay, here's the rock path that is going to lead us to the labyrinth. And there it is, a big circle. But this is a special kind of circle, and as we get closer, you'll be able to see that it's a circle with a special path around it. It does look like a maze, but it's not a maze because there's no wrong turns as long as you follow the path. And as you walk, you can think about your day, listen to the birds. Maybe if you're real quiet at home, you'll be able to hear some of the birds that are chirping right now. And he's going to end up winding all the way to this other side before he gets to the middle. And this is one of those things that are supposed to help you find calmness, which is that big word we used earlier, tranquility. And once again, this is at Frontier Park.
There's a lot of turns.
There are a lot of turns. And with each turn, you can skip, hop, jump, or walk calmly through. Now it's going to take Connor a while to get through the whole labyrinth. And then once he gets to the center, he's got to work his way back out. So while he's working on that, we are going to head back to the other room where we were so we can make our Zen Garden, or our Japanese rock garden, which looks much different from this, even though it also has to do with being outside in nature. Hi, welcome back to the classroom space in the room we were in before, and we are now going to show a Japanese Zen garden, otherwise known as a Japanese rock garden. I have a container here that looks like a flower. It's a flower shape. You can use any sort of container you have at home with your grown-up's permission, including perhaps a cereal bowl. Again, ask your grown-up. And the next thing you're going to need is some sand. Now, I have some sand here, but if you want, you could use beach sand. You could even go to the peninsula and get some sand to use, or maybe you want to use flour. If you don't have sand, maybe you have some baking flour you could use. I'm going to put some sand into the container to be my base. I'm going to smooth that out a bit to fill my space into my container, which is shaped again like a flower. And now, because rock gardens really focus a lot on nature, we are going to use rocks. So I'm going to put some rocks around in my garden, and also wood. This round piece of wood here is going to be my platform in the middle where people could sit and relax. And I even have some beach glass in different colors. If you're going to use beach glass, check with your grown-up to make sure there aren't any sharp edges and that they are nice and smooth. And I have all different kinds of colors of beach glass. I can even put one there. Some pink ones. You can also find, there's a nice pink one, plants. Didn't bring actual plants inside, but you can create your own if you don't have any, which is what one of my children did. They used a tiny little cup, a green pipe cleaner, and a little bit of tissue paper to create their own flower. And our flower could sit up here and overlook our garden. And the other thing with a Zen garden is that since it's a place to be calm and help relax yourself, you can use, now in a large full-size garden, you could use a rake. But since this is a little version of the garden, I'm going to use a fork. And you can take it to move the sand around. To give myself some more space, I'm going to move my platform up here. Put this here in the middle. And I'm going to rake my sand with the fork all around and create different designs with it as a way to just calm and relax my body. So, and with that in mind, it's somewhat like the Labyrinth garden that we went and explored at Frontier Park, and that it is meant to help be a place of tranquility, the calmness, just in a different way. So, we have now talked about different gardens. We talked about flower gardens, which a florist takes care of, vegetable gardens, which a gardener or farmer takes care of, and then we also have our Labyrinth and Zen gardens, which is a place to go to be at peace and with nature. With all that in mind, we're now going to do another activity, which is going to be stretching our bodies out with that thought in mind of being calm, like when we're in a garden. So I'm going to clean all this up and make space so we can do some stretches together. I'm going to be standing pretty far back so that way you can see my full body as I'm making different movements. You can make them with me if you would like. And if I were to do that this close to you, you wouldn't be able to see what my feet or my hands down below are doing. So I'm going to step way back and try to see if you can follow along with me as I move on back. But that also means I need to talk a lot louder so you can hear me. And the first thing we're going to do is do some stretches. It's important to always start with stretches before we get into certain movements. And if you're going to be doing yoga, a lot of people when they do yoga like to start on their crisscross position, hands in front of them like this, and they say a special word, namaste. Namaste. Now we're ready to begin, and we're going to continue with some stretches. Let's see, we talked about plants. So what's a plant we could be that could help us stretch? Maybe we could be a carrot in the ground with our pointy end. We can also be the sunshine. And a flower that's growing out of the ground so we can get way low, curl up. We are a seed in the ground and we're going to start to sprout and come up and grow and get bigger and taller and spread our flowers and blossoms. Maybe we even have a leaf coming out of our stem, which is our leg curled up to our knee. And now the other side. Ooh, I'm moving around a little bit. Hard to find the balance sometimes when you're doing stretches, but you're doing a great job at home. What else could we be? We did discuss a labyrinth, and a labyrinth moved around in circles. That came out a little, funny, didn't it? Circles. That's right, that's the word we're using. Nice and around, and we could go back the other way. Oh. We did also talk about, we already were a carrot, which was our vegetable garden. We grew our flower, which was our flower garden. We did our circle for our labyrinth garden. And now for our Zen garden, we could either be a tree or a rock, if we come back down to our knees and curl up to make ourselves look like a rock. We could sit back down into the position we started in. Take a deep breath. Thank you for doing some of those stretches with me. And now I feel ready to sit down and read another story because I love to read. And reading is so important. It allows you to go anywhere in the world, and I would like to go somewhere with you. I know someone who has a garden in their yard, and part of their garden includes a pond, a small little pond, not a huge one like you might see at Presque Isle State Park, are the beaches. There's some ponds out that way, but she does have a pond, and in that pond are lily pads, and on those lily pads are frogs. So in a garden you can even have animals, and in this case frogs. So I thought a great way to end our time together is with a story that's also a song. It is 5 Green and Speckled Frogs. So we're going to sing it at the same time. Perhaps this is a song you've sung before. You might recognize it. 5 green and speckled frogs sat on a speckled log, eating some most delicious bugs. Yum, yum! One jumped into the pool, where it was nice and cool. Now there are 4 green speckled frogs. And there they are. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because 5 jumped in the pool. Well, number 5, the 5th frog. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 jumped in, so now there are 4. 4 green and speckled frogs sat on a speckled log, eating some most delicious bugs. Yum, yum! Do you eat bugs? Yeah, I don't either. Though I have heard chocolate-covered ants are good. Some people do eat that, especially in other parts of the world. 1 jumped into the pool, where it was nice and cool. Now there are 1, 2, 3 green speckled frogs. 3 green and speckled frogs sat on a speckled log, eating some most delicious bugs. Yum, yum! 1 jumped into the pool, where it was nice and cool. Now there are, let's count, 1, 2 green speckled frogs. 2 green and speckled frogs sat on a speckled log, eating some most delicious bugs. Yum, yum! 1 jumped into the pool, where it was nice and cool. Now there are, or I should say is, 1 green speckled frog. Glub, glub. It's looking pretty relaxed there, being the last frog on the log. 1 green and speckled frog sat on a speckled log, eating some most delicious bugs. Yum, yum! 1 jumped into the pool, where it was nice and cool. Now there are no green speckled frogs. At least not on the log. They all ended up in the pool. Let's see if we can find them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did you see them all there in the pool? Hi, frogs. And no matter what kind of garden you have or go to, you will find some bugs and insects there because all these gardens we've talked about are outside, and in the outside world lives bugs. Which brings me to one more type of garden, and that is a garden that you grow in your house. You can get small pots and put some seeds for maybe cucumbers, tomatoes, herbs that you could put in a pot at home and put on a windowsill, give it some water from time to time, and have it grow. And in that case, maybe you won't find some bugs on those ones. The craft activity today you can find at WQLN.org PBS Homeroom. And as always, keep reading, keep learning, and keep watching WQLN PBS, where learning is brought to life.